Today I'm going to demonstrate how you'd use the new IBM DB2 Automation Expert product to manually create a maintenance job for an object which was identified by our Elastic dashboards that the object which had much activity in terms of insert updates and deletes now requires some maintenance. So you can see now we're at the main menu of the IBM DB2 Automation Expert for z/OS product. So what I'm going to demonstrate today is we previously discovered an object using our Elastic dashboard that is going to require maintenance. That particular object is tablespace GLW SEPA. And based on the number of insert, update, and delete activity against that object, it's recommended that this particular object be reorged. So there's two ways to go about this. We can create an ad hoc profile with that object and run the maintenance on it, or we can create an object profile. So what we're going to do in this demonstration is I'm going to show you how to create an object profile with just that one particular object. And then we're going to go ahead and create a job profile and then build the maintenance for that object. So we're going to enter option 1 off the main menu here, object profile, and hit enter. And then we're going to do a cline command. Now here is where you enter the profile name. So it's got to be a unique profile name. So we're going to call this demo object profile. And then you want to pay attention to the share option here, or the update option, I'm sorry. For update means anybody can update it and view it. The view only means anybody can view it, but only the creator, as you can see here, PD Bob, can update it. And for no access means no one could view it or update it. Only the owner, PD Bob, could update it and view it. So let's go ahead and hit enter. Now we want to do a Y to add table space because we want to add objects to our object profile. And you can see here, we're going to present you with enter table space screen so that you can pull up a selection criteria of the objects you want to include in your object profile. In this particular example, since we know the particular object we're looking for, we're just going to go ahead and enter that object. It's GLW DAJ, and then the table space is GLW SEPA, and hit enter. And you can see two entries get returned. The first entry is the table space, is the entire table space. So, and then the second entry is the table space at the partition level. It just so happens this one particular table space only has one partition. But what we're going to do is we're going to select it at the table space level and hit enter. You can see a message comes back that the object queue has been modified. So we're going to go ahead and press PF3. And now you can see we have an object profile with our one object that needs the maintenance. We're going to press PF3, and as you can see here, our demo object profile has now been created. We're going to PF3 now and go back to the main menu, and now we're going to go to option 4, job profiles. We're going to hit 4, hit enter, and then again we're going to create a new object profile. We're going to call this demo job profile. We're going to keep the update option as you, hit enter. And here you can see all the different job options. So, the different job options are, can be changed per job profile. But what we're going to do here is we're just basically going to go with the defaults and press PF3. Now what we need to do is we need to add an object profile and at least one utility profile. But what we're also going to do is add an exception profile. So the purpose of an exception profile is it's going to evaluate each object based on the exception profile criteria to determine if that object really needs maintenance or not. Because again, if an object doesn't need maintenance, why waste the resources doing that maintenance if it's not really needed? So we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And now we're going to select for the object profile we just created for this demo, the demo object profile. We're going to select it, hit S. It's going to tell us that it's been successfully added. We're going to press PF3. And now what we're going to do is for the exception profile, we're going to look for some best practices. So you can see here we have a best practice reorg number 1, and we're going to select that and then press PF3. And then as far as the utility profile goes, we're going to do a best practice online reorg and select that. So just to reiterate, the product is going to ship with sample and best practice profiles for the object profiles, the exception profiles, the utility profiles, and the job profiles. The best practice for the utilities are going to be set to each parameter for the utility is going to be set based on recommendations from the lab and some of our largest customers. And the best practice for the exception profile, again, is going to be set with the recommendations from the lab and customers about what should trigger that object to require an image or to require an online reorg. So if we go ahead and let's view that exception profile. And so you can see here, this is what the exception profile looks like. So this is all the criteria it's going to take into consideration before running that reorg. So it's going to, as an example, if the table space extent is greater than 254 and the data size is greater than 2, and as you can see here, the real-time reorg table space insert percentage, if that's greater than 25. So it's going to look at all this criteria, and if that object meets all this criteria, it's going to trigger that object to do that maintenance, which would be the reorg. And then if we want to look at the best practice online reorg, you could see here that it's going to do the table space reorg. And you can see here, again, this is going to be set to all the best practice options for this particular utility. And again, that's based on recommendations from the lab and some of our largest customers. So now we're going to press PF3, PF3 again. And as you can see, our demo job profile has now been created. So in order to run this and build the utility job itself, you do a B. So you can see here for build. So what the build is going to do, it's going to expand out all the objects in the object profile. And then it's going to pass each object by the exception profile to see if that object gets triggered for the utility. In this particular case, the utility is the online reorg utility. So you got to give it a PDS to put the utility JCL in, and you have to give it a job card once you enter that. And again, you can do this online or in batch. And if you need to schedule this, you can use this option here to go ahead and schedule that. We're going to go ahead and press enter. Now let's view the messages. So basically, what the messages are, it's going to print out all the options that were selected in this particular job profile options. And another thing it's going to do, it's going to show you each of the profiles. So it's going to show you the object profile, the exception profile, and the utility profile. So let's PF3, and now we're going to view the messages again. And again, it's going to reiterate all the job profile options. The only thing different here, it's going to show you what is the PDS and member where the utility JCL was written out to. So now if we PF3 from here, we're going to be placed into edit on the utility job itself. So you can see here what it's going to do. It's going to create a mapping, the database, table space, and table for a mapping table. And then as you can see here, it's going to run the create the reorg utility job or step. So you can see here, it's using templates. It's going to reorg the table space. And then finally, it's going to do the cleanup by dropping the database that it's used for the mapping table. So another thing to mention here is, like I said, so it evaluated each object, it it or expanded out each object, and then it evaluated each object. In this case, it was only one against the exception profile to determine if that maintenance was really needed, which it was, and so that's why it actually generated the job to do the reorg. If for some reason that reorg, if it didn't pass all those exception profile criteria, what would happen, the object wouldn't be triggered or recommended for maintenance. And if no objects end up getting recommended for maintenance, what happens is basically an IEF BR14 job gets created that basically that's all it does. So again, this demonstrates, using the dashboard, you can, identify objects that may need maintenance, and then you could go into the here, create an object profile, and then what that object profile, you can insert that into a job profile with the best practice exceptions and the best practice utility, and actually generate the utility JCL. So that concludes my demonstration for today. Thank you.